All right, guys, welcome to my Real Pages Brand Like a Boss webinar. My name is Sanjeev, and I get the opportunity every single week to be able to share with you guys how to improve your website and make them look a lot better and just use some of the best practices that we teach on. I talk a lot about this whole 23-point framework anytime I do a webinar like this, and that's what I'm going to be referencing all throughout our meeting here today. And before I welcome our next guest, whose name is Julie from Manitoba. And I'll basically have her here kind of join me in a second. But before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about these webinars that are accessible here in your backend. So if you're logged into your backend over here, you'll notice there's a section here for underneath support, and there's a section here that says knowledge base. And so if you come over here, you'll notice that at the very, very bottom, we have a section called the weekly webinar series recording. And this is where all of our past Brand Like a Boss episodes get featured. So if you've kind of missed out on some of the past episodes, take a look over here. And in addition to that, if there's maybe stuff that you want to learn about my real pages, I'm going to talk a lot about different tools and things that we can do with Julie's website here today live. But if you're kind of like, well, I want to slow it down, I want to take it kind of at my own pace, then I highly recommend that you come over here and take a look at some of these dedicated masterclass series on the different topics for my real page. Okay. So highly recommend that you do that. And that way you can kind of take things at your own pace as you see fit. Okay. But again, today's sessions and these Brand Like a Boss sessions are really live interactions with agents in real time where I'm really taking the time to help them improve their site, improve their brand. Last week, we had Jacqueline on the show here to go through and help her improve her website. She's from Victoria, and we talked about different things. If you guys had watched that last week episode, one of the things was like the whole blog section. Right now, the blog is just kind of like, really messy. There's just too many things going on here. So we kind of talked about separating everything out, making them into separate categories. The other thing we had talked about was just cleaning up the look and feel of the pages. So this is still work in progress, you guys. There's actually a lot of stuff we wanted to do with this. Even the neighborhood pages, we had talked about like kind of, fixing up the neighborhood pages as well too. And so just to quickly show you guys kind of the current state of affairs, like we've really kind of done a good job of brightening up the website. It was a big thing that Jacqueline wanted to do. She wanted to brighten it up. We've kind of made some changes to that of the homepage in terms of even how we showcase her stats and figures, her testimonials. We got the blog segmented now, so she's got different things for the different types of blog categories. There's like the market watch over here, the mortgage minute over here, the just listed to loved over here. So it's kind of separated nicely, kind of in that area. So there's a lot more to come on her website, but this is what it looks like to spend time just tweaking things and just making it look a lot better. And so she's very excited about that. But again, let's move on. We're here to talk about Julie's website here today. And so Julie, first of all, before we get started, just like I do with every guest, I like to just get every guest to just introduce themselves, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been practicing real estate for. Go ahead and take it away.
Great. Thank you, Sanjeev. And I just want to say I've been with RealPage now for many years, and you guys go above and beyond. So you have a superior product, and I've always appreciated the customer service, and I absolutely love these Brand Like a Boss sessions. So thank you, Sanjeev.
Yeah, thank you. I always see you tuning in, so I love the fact that you're just like a student. You love to learn. You want to get better at this, and I think that's what this is really all about too. For me, like I started this because I wanted to make it something educational for everybody, and it wasn't just about websites, but it was also about like marketing and real estate and like what works for this agent in this area may not work for this agent in that area. So you got to have like these discussions, and I think we can learn so much from talking to one another and creating this kind of sense of community. So, no, really, thank you for obviously being a great supporter for my real page and always being a part of these episodes and giving me your support too as I've been doing these webinars since last year.
No.
Now, let's talk about what brings you here because you volunteered, you raised your hand and said, "Hey, pick me." Like, I'd love to get some help here for my website. Tell me about some of the things that you've had going on for this new site because I know we did this whole upgrade to like the new theme and everything, and
Yeah.
we kind of loaded some things, but like, it's maybe not exactly where we want it to be. But talk to me a little bit about like, where has the struggle really been? What has been the challenge? I think we had talked about this whole thing about like, was it going to be a brokerage site originally, or do I make it my agent side? Like, talk to me about some of those things.
Sure. So yeah, I think the biggest struggle is just not setting aside the time to do um, to kind of update it with the features I want and to really personalize it for myself. Originally, yes, it was going to be an office site, and I have since decided to tailor this to myself. And a little bit about myself, I've been in real estate since 2005, managing partner and now sole broker of my office. And I do have quite a bit of volunteer experience. I've been volunteering with our local association for 9 years now and was president of our Manitoba Real Estate Association in 2022 to 2023. So, and as far as you touched before, senior specialist, I do very much enjoy working with seniors through that whole process, as well as first-time home buyers. So I think I'm just looking to customize my site, showcase kind of my abilities, my strengths, and to have more of a streamlined, easy access site for people. I'd also like to freshen it up. My original colors have always been yellow, with the red triangle, and I think I'd like a new modern logo, and just a fresher face for my website.
Yeah, love it. So many great things here we can work with. And, one of the things that I want to, start off by mentioning with what you just talked about is like the first chapter that I talk about in this whole framework slide deck is you have to define really what that purpose of that website is for. And, for me, like one of the things I oftentimes find myself helping agents with, it's just let's get some clarity on like what do we want this site to really do for us. If it's just meant to be an online business card, then the way I see it is that, having a website monthly subscription is a very expensive business card. It's best to just go find that somewhere else. But if we really want this to do something for us, we want to kind of put some effort in there. And there's a lot of great things you just mentioned. You've been in business since '05. You've got great volunteer experience, like you mentioned, with your local association there. And in addition to that, you were the past president of that real estate association as well too. You've also mentioned some other things in an email to me recently about being a member of your local chamber of commerce. You got your senior specialist designation. You work with first-time home buyers. So we don't want any of these things to be things that people have to like kind of search for in the site. We want to make them as clear as day, visible for people to be able to consume and digest. And like you mentioned, getting the branding on point too, right? Like, maybe this was kind of like the brokerage obviously logo design, but you have your own obviously logo design. And we talked about like, okay, let's make this like branded to you as you build out your team. Eventually we can obviously make some changes at that point of time and maybe some pivots. But for now, let's make it really kind of, designed around yourself. And then we'll kind of go from there. So great stuff. Let's kind of actually start off with a little bit of this, editing side of things, and what we'll do is we'll eventually get into that of some of the other aspects like the avatars, and I want to talk a little bit about that, creating engaging content, you name it. But what we'll start off with is actually just kind of dropping in this new logo. So I'm going to switch you over here to staging, which is what we're going to work off of, and for everybody who's watching, anytime you're making changes to your website and your domain is live, as in if people actually typed in your domain and they'd actually show up to your website, you want to make sure you're operating everything off of staging with your changes to prevent people from seeing the edits that you're making. And that way you can make kind of changes as you see fit. So first thing we're going to do, Julie, let's just go and toss in that new logo because you just shot it over to me just recently. And that logo is awesome. I like it. Let's just go ahead and just kind of substitute that in. So in her theme, this is located underneath this little menu section called branding, and it's going to be logo only. We're going to see there's a section over here to basically drop in a logo. Right now, automatically it's taking it from that of your site settings that's already been uploaded, but I'm going to just drag and drop this in here. And here's the logo, as you guys can clearly see. I'm going to drop it in both on these two lines as one is kind of like a scroll down. So you can see how it's positioned right up here at the top. Now, one thing I mentioned to Julie here, just pre-conversation, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, you guys, just you guys could probably see that a little bit better. One thing I mentioned is that, when we place logos inside of these kind of header sections, it's nice to have that logo cut out without this little white kind of square. In other words, so that we can have it like as an all white logo. And some people always ask, like, how do I do that? Or maybe I don't have a designer to do that. Julie just mentioned a moment before we got on this call, like she doesn't have the white version of this logo. So I'm going to show you guys a quick little editing tip for this kind of thing. So in the logo itself right here, there's a little kind of I guess a magic wand, I guess you could call this thing. And it literally says when you hover over it to remove the background. So when you click on this, anywhere you see this on an image kind of square, what it allows you to do is it allows you to remove the entire background from behind the logo. So you have the actual logo cutout itself. And I'm going to go and download that first here just to see if I can maybe do it on Canva, the next step here, which I'll explain. But right now, as you can see here, I have a full cutout of the logo. So if I now just kind of copy this over here and bring it here to the bottom as well, you'll now see that the logo actually sits against the background. Here's the problem now. We cannot see the logo, all right? And so this is a constant thing that people typically face is that they need a white version of their logo. So in case you're kind of one of those people that need that, you can actually easily do this inside of Canva. So just to show you kind of how this works, you can open up a custom size in Canva. So usually I do about 3,000 by 3,000 in terms of the size of the design. So it's a nice high resolution. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and drop in that no background logo into the section over here. So I downloaded this off of the website after we kind of knocked out the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make it big first because we don't want this logo to be small because we can always kind of make it small on the website afterwards. So you can go to make it maybe this big. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a black background in behind here. Okay. And what that does now is it puts us in a position to take the actual logo itself and click on this little edit button. And there's a section here called duotone in the effects of Canva. If you come over here and click on custom, you actually have the ability to change the shadows to actually make it an all white logo, just like that. Okay. And now what that allows you to do now is if you go and download this, it's a brand new file. It's a nice and high resolution, 3,000 by 3,000 pixels on a canvas. What it allows you to now do is when you go back into your website, let's go ahead and do this now. We're going to actually pop out that background again. This time, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove all the extra spacing around the actual logo itself. So I only have the logo kind of cut out. So let me just quickly do that on my desktop. So you want to just crop out all the extra space around the logo and just have the logo itself. And so when I drop in a logo file now into this section over here. Here it is, you guys. You can take a look at it. There it is. I cut out all the extra black around the actual logo just by cropping it. And now if I click on remove background, I want to go ahead and just remove that so that I don't have anything else there. I just have the white part only. And that's basically how you have like a white version of your logo, and then you have your dark version of your logo. And so when we actually set this up properly now, because we have now two different modes here on this menu, we got light mode and the dark mode. What I'm going to basically do is I'm going to set my little top part to be light and out of my fixed menu to be dark. And so now take a look at that. We can now see the logo. Okay. So that looks a lot better already. And ultimately, obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the text color over here too to being that of a light color text, because right now it's doing dark mode. We want it to be light. And there we go. Now this color is light, that's light. And when you scroll down, what's going to happen is when you scroll down, that bar, we just want that bar to be actually white. So we're going to go ahead and change that as well too, is that on the dark mode, rather than this being this little dark color, let's change it to this white with some transparency as well too. And then the actual text color can be dark because that's going to have to be the case here. So there we go. We're going to just change that to, let's change that to more of like a charcoal gray, just because I think that's going to work a lot better. I usually use this as the kind of go-to. So if you take a look at this, Julie, you can probably see already that looks a lot better with the logo
Yeah.
design, right? So this now is the new opener compared to that of the previous one with the yellow triangle at the top. And as you can see here, when you scroll down, she's got the dark version of the logo. So that looks fantastic. Now let's continue to work on this. One of the things that I asked Julie about was maybe a slogan for her real estate business, because this banner section, which is kind of the first area where you can maybe kind of grab people's attention, is a great place to kind of put in a slogan of some kind. And I highly recommend real estate agents to get like a tagline, get a slogan, get something that people can start remembering you with. If you think about big brands, whether it's like Nike and the slogan "Just Do It," or a different company that maybe comes to your mind, like every kind of big brand typically has some aspect of a slogan, which is something that's memorable. And you want to kind of find something that works for you. Every brand is different in this case. Now, Julie, tell me about the slogan that you have in mind.
My slogan is bringing your dreams home. And yeah, I think it kind of speaks for itself. It kind of goes hand in hand to just me being a part of people's one of the biggest decisions they're going to make in their lives, and I feel for a lot of people it's a dream come true. So just bringing your dreams home.
Love it. That's fantastic. So in this section here, what Julie's talking about, guys, fantastic ideas. We can go ahead and put that in, bringing your dreams home in this section here. And I just kind of copied and pasted it from an email that she had sent that to me. But you can also type it out there as well too. And automatically our system's going to format it accordingly. So you can see here now it says bring your dreams home. And then this little subtitle can always add some like context to that of the main slogan. So one thing that you just mentioned, or Julie, as an example, was like, bring your dreams home. Like that's really it's kind of self-explanatory. So it isn't. You can leave it like that. You can also go in and add things like helping you with both buying and selling or something like that. And however we want to add context to that, it'll just kind of help out with the next thing, which is that of the call to action button on the banner. And that's something again, when I think about using this space wisely at the top of the web page, one of my big things is about teaching the importance of having good call to actions so that you can have people kind of get to directly where they need to get to inside of your web page. So we can work on this little kind of subtitle piece. We don't have to worry about that right now. I'll leave it kind of as it is. But that's something that we can add as a layer on top of the main title, which says bring your dreams home. Make sense? Okay. Now let's kind of get into the other thing, which is the background photo here. So this background photo, I know, Julie, because I've been working on my real page for years, is the same background photo for this theme across all of our themes. So one thing I always say is that you want to change your banner photo. If you haven't changed your banner photo already, you can do so right over here at the very top left-hand corner. There's like a little pencil icon to edit your banner. And that's just by turning on this little edit toggle. You can come over here, click on this little slide over here, which is slide number 1. And this is for Julie's theme, you guys. If you picked a different theme, it may not look the exact same, but you're going to have a background or a banner or something in which you can actually change the image for. And so in this case, here's her background image. Now you're located, you mentioned in Manitoba, right? Is that right, Julie?
Correct. Yeah.
Is it in Winnipeg, by the way, or is it in surrounding
Just
area?
outside of Winnipeg. So I am located, my office is located in Steinbach. And then
Steinbach, gotcha.
yeah, and then I service Winnipeg and rural Manitoba.
Cool, right on. So one thing I highly recommend for anybody when they're building a real estate website is remembering that concept that a picture does speak like 1,000 words. So somebody coming to this website, seeing localized photography is going to feel more connected to you as a realtor than somebody who's putting in random stock photography. And it's just because people can identify through images that, oh yeah, she's a local realtor or he's a local realtor. Now, the thing about this little Unsplash and Pexels kind of stock library is we're kind of limited with photos based on the cities that we're in. So if I typed in Steinbach, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't find anything. But because you typed in Winnipeg, it's a major city. As a result of that, you'll see photos. And depending on which region you're in, if you type in Vancouver, if you type in Toronto, if you type in Calgary, type in Edmonton, you will see certain photos there. And I would highly recommend kind of maybe taking a look at some area shots as a good kind of opener to that of your web page. So as an example, let's just say we pick this one just for our sake of our example, and we put that into our background. You can then see just how ultimately right away it makes a difference to the website just on first glance. Makes sense? And again, it doesn't have to be, this kind of darkened as well too, guys. You'll see there's a section on the right that says color effect. And one thing to just understand about color effects is that you do need to have them there depending on what your text color is on top. If this image was basically without any filter whatsoever, let's just put it as none, you will notice that you cannot see the text anymore. This text is not as legible as it was previously. Same with the items up the very, very top. So it's important to remember that your goal is to make sure the site is readable. There's nothing worse than like not having legible font or things that are hard to see. So, in this case here, we're going to just darken it slightly because our text is white. And as a result of that, now you can see how that is a lot better already compared to what we had before. Isn't that true, Julie?
Yeah, no,
Right?
that's crazy.
And
Much.
I think that's the craziest part about these things is like, we think like, oh man, like this is gonna take forever to change, but we did like three things in about give or take 15 minutes, and we're already kind of looking at something that already has an appeal compared to this that's a lot better. And we're not done yet. So let's just keep going. So one thing, and this is just for those of you guys who are watching, Manitoba has a little bit of some restrictions on that of the MLS kind of search stuff. So we actually can't utilize these search bars. And that was one thing that Julie and I talked about. So we're going to go and remove that right away. We don't need this here. We're not going to have anything to really to search. There's still listings on the site, but we're just going to have to approach it a little bit differently. That's all. So we're going to delete that little search bar. So it just opens up with a slogan, subtitle, and these call to action buttons. Now, with the call to action buttons, I want to show this to you guys as well too. We have the ability to add in multiple different buttons over here. So if we come over here to this little slide, you can see here there's multiple buttons that we can add in this section right over here. So in the button section right now, we have one that says why choose us as your agent. Well, we can just say this instead. We can just say, why choose, us, or why choose me in this case, because it's just Julie. And it goes to that of the about page. So that could be one, but we can also add others as well too. So for example, if I wanted to, I could add another one here that says things like, looking to downsize, because she mentioned that she works with seniors, and this would over here go to some sort of seniors page that we're still looking to create that doesn't exist yet. So that could be a button. Another button as well too is a button that has to do with first time home buyers. So number one, I said earlier, like when people come to this website, are they like guessing kind of what you do, or do they kind of know what you do from the very beginning, just because you make it easy for them to see that? So take a look at this. Do you see how we have now three buttons? Why choose me, looking to downsize, first time home buyers. And that allows this whole experience now for users when they come here, not to be searching for what you're doing, not to be like wondering about what you're doing, but clear as day, right here from the get-go, they can actually see these different buttons appear across out of your banner. So I'm going to go ahead and save that there, just because these are some of the things that you mentioned to me, Julie, and hopefully that works for you as well too, by just having something like this here. Is that okay?
That's perfect. So just further on that, so if I was featuring a subdivision and I wanted access right off my main page, then that would be a great opportunity for me to make a temporary button while I'm featuring that subdivision.
Yeah, and actually, matter of fact, here's a cool thing that we can do once that subdivision comes into play. Not only could you add a button exactly where you just mentioned, which is right over here, Julie. You can just go and click an add. Let's go toss in a brand new one, and it could be exactly that. Name the subdivision, learn more. But how cool is this? This is a slideshow. So because it's a slideshow, why not just add another slide now? So we're gonna hit this little duplicate item button. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow a slide to rotate now every 5 seconds, where slide number two is going to maybe say, let's just say this is like, the new subdivision name. So this could be like, let's call it the, you know, there's a place, let's just call it the Butterfly as an example. Let's just say that was like the name of the subdivision, wherever it is. Okay. And then just say, lots going for sale, starting at, let's just say whatever price it is. Okay. And what's cool about this is you can then have the button just simply say learn more. And the learn more button is going to then take somebody to that of the project page. And what's cool about this is the background photo can then also be that of the project, right? So this is like, the project, whatever it is, the subdivision, there's like a rendering or whatever it is, right? Let's just use this as an example. We're just doing this for example's sake. Take a look at this now, right? This is slide number one. Take a look at this now. Rotates, that's slide number two. See what I mean?
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Right? So that would be the subdivision name, lots going for blank, learn more. And it just keeps rotating like every 5 seconds. So the nice thing about this banner background, this slideshow, is you have so much versatility. Like if I just wanted the exact same buttons, by the way, to keep going through, but every single couple of seconds, I just wanted to change like a photo. So let's go back and like toss in that photo as an example. And then let's just put the third one as like another photo over here. And this one is going back to like a Manitoba shot of some kind. Let's just say like this one. And if you take a look at this now, we save this and let's go to this live site and refresh. Take a look at this now, right? We have basically three banner slides and they're all rotating now every 5 seconds. How cool is that? right?
Neat.
So brings a level of dimension to the website, a little bit some more kind of flexibility to the site, gives you some options. But just like you said, Julie, right? Like if I got a subdivision like tomorrow that I want to advertise, bam, like let's just take one of those slides and make it about the subdivision. Make sense? Okay. So you have options and you just message me when the time comes and we can work on that together. Okay.
Okay.
Now, here's another dimension I want to kind of share. Like, obviously, we had talked about this in one of my webinars previously, so I'm just going to make a quick mention of this right now. But a lot of sites, guys, like as we all know, kind of have these lines like right across the page, just one line, another line to separate, another line to separate, and you're just like line after line after line. So to make things a little bit more interesting, we gave you guys a brand new block I want to remind you of. And a block is called the divider overlay extension, where the actual divider can create kind of moves like this, where it makes the site a little bit more interesting, like beyond that of the normal kind of layout. So for example, we could have a wave divider like this, or we can choose from any of the other divider shapes, from that of like having like an arrow to having that of like a book open like this, having clouds, having a curve, having like a ribbon. So you guys can experiment with this. I'm just going to share something pretty cool here, is that you have the ability to add different layers and dimensions to how you want to make the site look. So for example, if I want to add this right here to the bottom block, but the bottom block, meaning the above the block that's at the bottom here, then it's going to appear something like this, where you can see here how it opens up like this, as opposed to being one straight line. And that could definitely add, like I said, a layer of dimension to your web page. So I'm going to leave that in there just because, again, I'm really kind of big on just sites kind of looking a little bit more fun. Can you see what I mean by that? Right? A lot
Mhm.
more interesting, a lot more kind of engaging rather than just the straight lines. And it kind of feeds into your next section. So you guys can all play around with that, but I just want to remind you about that. Now, this section here, Julie, why don't we make this section about you now, right? Like originally it was kind of like, talk about Delta real estate. What do you feel about making this section now, talking a little bit about your bio? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I've already kind of downloaded your photo earlier. So let's go and swap this out over here. So this was originally the logo file in this content box. And what we're going to now do is we're going to change this to that of her actual photo. So here's your photo. Let me go and drag it in here to this section. And in this section, we have all these different settings over here. Now, by default, these settings should say media fit contain, because we want to contain the entire image in its view. We don't want it to be cut off, like the head to be cut off, or maybe it's cutting off at the torso or something like that, or at the neck. So we want to make sure we got that set up. One cool feature here I like to always turn on is like the media shadow. It just gives it a little bit more dimension. So if I click on done and click on apply changes, you can see how now there's a little shadow right around the photo, which gives it a nice kind of appeal to it. And then on the right hand side, we can go ahead and change this text over here. Now, one thing I'm going to share, guys, from an SEO perspective is when we're talking about search engine optimization, just the way that your website can be found, one of the things we would want to do is in the home page, one of your first titles, and it doesn't have to be the banner at the top, because the banner might be used for slogans and things like that, but as high up as possible, we want to make sure that our first kind of title that we can possibly find is using what we call an H1 tag. And that basically specifies to Google, this is what the page is about. Your home page ideally is something that can easily be ranking for your name. So when people are typing in your name on Google, looking you up, your website should show up as number one, because you have that keyword, whatever that keyword is, as your H1 tag. So in this case, we can write Julie's name here, and we can, in addition to that, write the word realtor next to that. I'm just going to make sure I get the proper realtor trademark and everything in there as well too. So it could be Julie Friesen realtor. And then this part over here, which says your city real estate specialist, this word city automatically, guys, takes your office address location. So just so you know, Julie, it does not have to say Steinbach. If you wanted to say it, great. But like you mentioned, you do kind of service a couple of different areas at the sounds of it. And maybe potentially saying that you're a specialist for that area might make people believe that you're not therefore helpful for other areas. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I rural Manitoba or southeastern Manitoba might be better.
Yeah, for exactly. So you're rural. Southeast Manitoba real estate specialist, right? That's one way to say it. Or you can just say your Southeast Manitoba real estate specialist. Either way, totally up to you. Okay. Nice thing about all of this stuff that I'm doing on staging is that you also have the capability of later coming in here, clicking on this little edit toggle and saying, okay, I'm just going to make it your Southeast Manitoba real estate specialist. And then you can just hit the save button anytime you want. Okay. So that's one thing we can always do anytime at a later time. Now, this part over here, which is your bio, one thing we're going to do here in the bio section is we want to kind of add in some of those credibility markers that you've shared, like the fact that you've been in business since '05. You've been, a past president of the Manitoba Real Estate Association. You help out seniors, you help out first-time home buyers, things like that. Just stuff that we can actually kind of highlight inside of the bio. And this is kind of a smaller bio section where then you have obviously a bigger bio over here in the About Us page. And this can obviously display like the full length biography, the entire kind of, let's just say, story behind yourself, and where you can really use it as an opportunity to connect with your audience, share a little bit more personal details, things you enjoy a lot, enjoy doing, things that you love, just so that people can also relate to you as well, too, beyond that of just being a real estate professional. So right now, just to clarify, Julie, do you have a bio currently? Do you have something made?
I do. I think I would like to change it up. It was tailored for when I was the president for MREA. So I think I'd like to change it. It was a little bit more personal heavy, and I would like this one to be more professional.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes down to something like that, you can definitely send it over to me when you have it. One thing I recommend is if you're going to put in a biography, you should probably write it yourself and then use AI to refine it. I tend to avoid and encourage people to avoid using AI to create the bio itself without it now coming across as too generic. Whenever you have that, Julie, send it over to me. What we'll do is we'll take a piece of it and we'll put a portion of it here, like an abbreviated version, and then we can put a longer version on the about page. Does that make sense? Okay.
Perfect. I did send it over.
Oh, you did? Okay, awesome. Let me just double check that. Maybe I might have missed it. My bad.
Oh no, I literally just sent it. You're
Oh,
fine.
you literally just sent it. Okay, awesome. Right on. I'm going to go ahead and just refresh, and here it is. I see it. Perfect. So this is fantastic. So what I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to use, ChatGPT here as a great opportunity to take this longer bio, because if I put this full bio in here just to showcase this, it's just so everybody can see it. This is her bio, you guys, right? So a lot of us sometimes kind of just have bios like this and we just chuck them into sections like these. But you'll notice that the bio is so long and people don't really take the time to read all of this when they see this on a page. Not to mention, I'm going to go ahead and save this just so I can show this to you guys. Look at how long the text is compared to that of the photo, right? So if we talk about just like from a design point of view, we want to take a portion of this and just highlight some of the key aspects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take ChatGPT over here. Let me just go and put it in the window. Here it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bio that she wrote, and I'm going to just say, hey, can you provide an abbreviated version of this for the homepage of my website? So I'm going to say, help me take this biography and abbreviate it for the homepage of my website. Okay, and I'm going to go to paste it, and there we go. And now what I'll get is a more concise version of the same thing. And now let's go and grab this part, and then of course, and we can tweak it a little bit later as well too to see if there's other things we want to add in here. So if I go and paste it, there you go, a lot better in terms of the height of it. And now as I look at the bio, what I want to do, and this is one thing that I encourage everybody to do, is use bold strategically to draw attention to certain words in your bio that you think people would be kind of drawn to, or at least it would stand out to people. So, for example, 2 decades of real estate experience is quite the accomplishment. For someone to be in business for that long, fantastic. Now, length of time obviously doesn't necessarily translate to just credibility alone. There's other aspects as well too, but time is something that's really, really, really powerful though. So use it. If you've been in business for a certain amount of time, let people know that. So 2 decades of real estate experience, fantastic. Let's bold that. Strong work ethic, we can also bold that as well too, right? So that's something that people would want to know. Another thing we can bold is that of a passion for helping clients. So for example, I can do helping clients over here achieve their dreams, right? So that's just aspects of how you can bold text to make it really something that stands out to people. Okay. I can also put this right here. She's got a background in farming and sales. Fantastic. Like, people might want to know that. She's a proud senior real estate specialist. I'll go and bold that part as well too. Active leader within the Manitoba Real Estate Association. We'll bold that part so people can see that. And then that's kind of it. Now, to go one step further, I just want to make sure you guys can see this as well too. And this is something I would help Julie with in our kind of revision once we're all done, is I'm going to take some aspects of this bolding and I'm also going to hyperlink it as well too. So to just make that text, and this is kind of a rule of thumb as well too, for those of you guys who are trying to optimize your website for SEO, you want to try to add in about 5 internal links on every single page. Okay. Internal linking helps Google discover other aspects of pages within your website. And it also tends to give Google a nudge as to what pages are also important in your website. Because could you imagine, like, you had, say 10 internal links to that of your senior real estate specialist page, and you had one internal link to, I don't know, let's just say your mortgage calculator, then the way Google sees that is that, wow, the senior real estate specialist page must be important relative to that of the mortgage calculator page. Okay. So later on, Julie, what we'll do is we'll connect this guy right over here. We'll literally connect that to that of the senior real estate specialist page. And then what we can also do is we can also add something in here for right here where it says what are you looking for your first home, and we can actually connect this one over here to that of the first time home buyers page. Make sense? Okay. So
Perfect. Yeah.
that's a really great way to just link things together, make it easy for people to kind of explore your website. And Google likes it. It will definitely rate your site a lot better as a result of that. So we'll keep that in there. Okay. So that's great. So that's your full length bio abbreviated into a nice short condensed version. And then these 2 buttons over here, one that says contact us, view listings, we'll go and change that now to be more relevant to what we just did. So one would be that of like, more about Julie. So let's just say put about Julie, and that can go to the about page. And then this part over here can go into that of like, get in touch as an example. And that can go to that of the contact page for your website. So if I just go and refresh that now, you can see how it says now about Julie, and it also says get in touch. Okay. So there you have it. Now, one thing I will share is just a kind of helpful tip for everybody is that if you ever want to draw attention to a certain button, take the time to change the other buttons to a different contrast. So let's just say I want to draw attention to that of the about button versus that of the get in touch. I will change the get in touch to an outline button next to about Julie so that when people see those 2 buttons, there's a little bit of more weighting to clicking on about Julie compared to this. Or if let's just say you have 2, 3 accent colors for your website. I know in our case here, Julie and I are just using this kind of like gray color. If we had an accent color of some other kind, we could use that accent color to draw attention as well too. So just to give you guys kind of like a pro tip on that, if you ever want to draw attention to something, consider using that there. Okay. So there we go. So far, we got a great banner now, opener. We got the logo in there. We got some rotation stuff happening. We got like an about part that's been changed. I mean, so far looking pretty good, isn't it, Julie? Hey.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so I love doing this for clients because I feel like, when we kind of go from this to something like this in a matter of, like I said, half hour now coming in, it's exciting what we can do then within 1 week. And that's really what this whole transformation typically looks like. Now we're going to jump into some other things. One thing that Julie, you've already shared with me is that you have these different groups of people that you work with: seniors, you work with first-time home buyers. Was there any other avatar that you had in mind in addition to those 2?
Yeah, you know what? I do residential, commercial, as well as condominiums. So I think it would be wise to showcase that as well somewhere. And then I do also do a lot of work in a specific RM with vacant land and lots. So I'm not sure if we want to separate that or just keep that under rural.
Very cool. Yeah. Now that second part of what you said is totally up to you, however you see fit. I will share with you the designated block that we can use for that. And what that is a block that we've added. It's not available in the library yet, you guys, but it's underneath the theme block section. If you just scroll down to one of the brand new themes we released, which is Solaire, you'll notice if you click on this little explore button, there's a beautiful carousel that doesn't take up a lot of space, but it allows you to really be able to share some of those specific avatars that Julie you just mentioned. So as an example, if I have this now block added, this block allows me to now share my services for folks in a way that becomes like a carousel. So I can add additional items as I'll show you over here. For example, this one can say the word residential as an example and have some subtext. This one can say the word commercial as an example, have some subtext. This one over here can say the word condominiums, just like you mentioned. And then the next one we have is, let's see here. You said, what was it? Vacant
And
lots? Vacant land?
vacant,
Yep.
yeah, vacant land.
Perfect. Okay. And then also, by the way, too, like we can also add in here if we wanted to, like the whole, seniors, right? First time home buyers. So you could technically have everything just kind of rotate in this section.
Okay.
And I'll just show you how that looks like, right? So you can see here now how it looks like this. And if you take a look at this, it just keeps rotating all the way through. Makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So we can have all these services here, have them rotate in this section. We'll come back and modify modify that later. But that is a carousel section we can add. We can make it into 4 columns, just so that there's a little bit more to showcase. And then we can also make them a little bit more kind of, let's just say, landscape format, like this. And that way, actually, no, we're gonna have to keep it a little bit longer just because of the size of the text. So we'll just go 3 columns. We'll keep it as the portrait. And then this carousel, we will have it autoplay 1 by 1 and not have it delay too much. Make it transition quickly. We'll leave that as a 4. Click on apply and save. So we'll come back and connect those to pages, but that's what it basically looks like. So every one of these, essentially, Julie would have a main title, a little subtext of some kind, and then basically when people click on this, it will take them to what should be the next thing on the other side. Make
Okay.
sense? Okay.
Yep.
And so we'll talk about setting those up together throughout the week here ahead. So I'm going to put a title over here at the very top of that, which is, my services. And then we can obviously massage that a little bit differently as well too. And then, basically have the subtext underneath that that's kind of laid on top of this. So, could be like, oh, whether you're looking to, buy or sell, vacant land, residential, commercial, I've got you covered. Take a look at some of my services below, whatever that is. That's kind of what the idea would be. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that. Now, one thing I do recommend in between typically this section and this section, it doesn't always have to be this way, but I highly recommend people putting in their testimonials somewhere here, as people will come here to kind of get to know you. And obviously, social proof goes a long way. Now, I think one thing we've already talked about, Julie, was like, revamping that whole Google My Business profile, starting from scratch all over again, which I
Yeah.
think is a great idea. And obviously that's something that I'll send you a link. And for those of you guys who didn't watch this webinar, I did it live for somebody like about a week or 2 ago. I think it was on July 15th. So anybody who wants to know, how do you set up a Google My Business profile? If you've never set one up before, you can literally watch this and I go through the process live of setting one up. And so we're going to do that for Julie. Now, in the meantime, what we can do, Julie, is we can actually just put in testimonials manually for the time being as like a rotation carousel on the homepage. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to drop in the block in here for now. And do you have the reviews on your existing site before we kind of made any of these changes? Like,
Do
do
I
you
have
have it somewhere over here? Are these testimonials here for you, or no? Are these just random
no?
kind of?
Those are random, so they've never been updated since I switched over. My
Got it.
testimonials would be on through my Facebook right now.
Okay, sounds good. No problem. So we'll add them in later. In the meantime, just a heads up, you guys, in the block library, we don't have a testimonial section quite yet. Again, this is all stuff we're working on revamping. But what you can do is you can go to any one of these themes and you can pick from a testimonial block that you see there. Now I'm going to go back into the Solar theme because it has a testimonial block that I really kind of like personally. And so if I'm going to go and insert this section over here, and I'm going to fix it up a little bit just so that's not kind of overlapping into the next section. We'll have it kind of be laid out on its own section over here. So we're going to remove this little overlap piece, and then I'm going to make sure that there's about 20 units of spacing top and bottom. And so this is an example of where we can put in a title over here that says whatever we wanted to say. We can say client testimonials, or we can say here what my clients say, and that could be the title over here. And then this little section here in the background can be an image, could be a video, could be whatever. So to make things a little bit more interesting, one cool thing is you can easily add video to your guys' website. You'll notice underneath the panel background, image, video, color, whatever you wish. If I chose video here, I get all these different like options, as you can see over here, if I want to add. And so I can pick something like, quite subtle. Maybe let's just say I pick something like this. It's kind of like an aerial kind of drone shot going over a neighborhood. And I can change the speed of it to go a lot slower as well too. And so it doesn't have to go as fast. And then I can also add like a color to it as well too. So if I want to darken it slightly so that everything kind of pops on top, so it kind of looks something like this. It can also be, again, however way you kind of see fit. But just to give you guys an example of what that can look like in terms of what you can kind of do with your website. So it can also do kind of a lighten texture as well too. As you can see there, actually, I like that a little bit better. And then that can sit on top. And then this color can be a little bit probably darker. So I'm going to go and change that to the same charcoal gray that I was kind of using earlier. And I'm going to make this heading a little bit bigger as well too, just because it's a little bit small. There we go. So this is an example of what the testimonials can look like. And when we pull them from Facebook, one thing I want to highly encourage you guys to do, and we'll do this for you ourselves here, Julie, is that we'll go through your Facebook profile, which I think is right over here. I think I have it. Underneath the review section is where you mentioned the
Well,
reviews were here or somewhere else.
it's actually as posts. So I did email them to you just
Yeah,
now. So it's
cool.
it's done. I pulled it off of my Instagram and just emailed them to you about a minute ago.
Yeah, I see it. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, it's good. So these testimonials, you guys, and stuff like this. I mean, I'll just have our good friend ChatGPT transcribe it for me rather than typing it out. Can you provide me the text on this image? I'm just going to take one just to show you guys the example. So this is a testimonial that Julie just sent over to me. So if I grab this little text over here from the testimonial, and the name for that person, do you know who the name was? I couldn't read the script font there. Do you know who the name was?
Yeah, no problem. I just need to see letting go of property. Yes. So that one was Florence, Florence.
Perfect. So Florence is the attribute. It's going to go right over here. So that's just like the name aspect. So that's going to show up right down there. If I don't want to add an image, you guys, I don't have to add an image. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the title section to take a portion of the actual testimonial and really highlight it. So for example, if I read this out loud, it says, letting go of property with so many memories was hard, but Julie made it such a good experience for me. I was down and out about selling, and the whole process picked me right up. If I had to, I would do it all over again and use Julie as my realtor. I honestly think this last line is a great sell. If I would have to do it all over again, I would use Julie as my realtor. Beautiful. Let's go and take that and make that the title. So take a look at this now. Isn't that a lot better than that of like people trying to read the entire review? Do you see what I mean, Julie?
Yeah,
Right?
totally. Yeah.
So what happens is you take your like I call it like the highlight reel. Like even when we kind of watch like these like sports channels, like they don't show you the whole like show the whole game all over again. No, they take the highlight reel, and your testimonials are the exact same thing. People again on the homepage, on carousels, etc. They're not maybe looking to read the entire thing. You're trying to stop them from scrolling. And if you want to stop them from scrolling, you just want to take a piece of that testimonial and then use it as a highlight. And that's exactly what I do over here. So we'll go through, Julie. We'll actually grab all the reviews that you just sent over to me, and I'll go and set them up kind of like this as a carousel and make them look very, very nice. And so you can see Florence's name's down there, and this little icon, we can remove it. It doesn't have to show up any kind of image there. So so that's that. Now, before I continue, guys, I'm running basically out of time, and there's so much more we got going on with the site. For those of you guys who are watching right now, this is really what Brand Like a Boss is all about. It's an opportunity to just have a conversation about your website, no judgment. Julie and I talked about this too, right? There's nothing to be afraid of here. It's just you and me really here at the end of the day talking and really looking to, revamp your website, make it look a lot nicer, work for you in a way that isn't working for you right now. And to just, really have a much better experience for people who visit this page. So for those of you guys who are watching or thinking, man, like I would love to get a part of this too, reach out and ask if you can. You can drop me an email anytime, and I'm happy to chat to see if you'd be a good fit for our program here. And we usually have a wait list of other people that might be kind of asking to be a part of this. So, whenever you reach out, I can be happy to let you know, if you qualify. And secondly, of course, when your turn can actually happen on a Tuesday during this webinar. Now, one thing I want to kind of wrap up with, Julie, just for time, and obviously you and I will work on the rest together and revamp the other pages as well too, and all this kind of good stuff, and come back and show all these beautiful people like how great the site will look like at the end of all this. But one thing I told you before we got on this call together was I noticed that you were obviously making different posts such as these. And I couldn't
Yeah.
help but notice, like, hey, you know what? That's awesome. First of all, that you're sharing. I got a new listing. Boom, let's make a post about it, which is so important to do for just organic discovery. And not to mention, like, you're going to make your homeowner happy as well too, because you're going to see all the different ways you're marketing your stuff, and one of which is through socials. So I was going to bring up this whole tool called Brand App, and I heard that from our chat little beforehand that you weren't actually familiar with what Brand App was entirely. Is that right?
That's correct.
All righty. Okay, fantastic. So, with that being said, just so everybody knows, the actual Brand App tool is a marketing tool found right over here in our backend. And Brand App allows you to create designs. It's already included with your My Real Page subscription, you guys. And it allows you to pick from any design for social media posting from our template library over here, as well as it gives you the opportunity to customize your own. So we're not going to do this right now just because we're running out of time, but we are going to do this in a way where we're going to come back and show you what a template can look like once it's been really customized. And we're going to put in Julie's logo in there. We're going to put her photo in there so that in the future, when she has a listing like this, that she wants to make a post for, whether it's something like this, which is more like a feature sheet brochure design, which we also have the capability of as well too. So if I can share that with you guys right now versus the listing feature sheets, take a look at this. We have all these beautiful designs that we can actually get branded to you there, Julie. So you can see how these might actually look a lot better than what you're currently posting. And then we can
Absolutely.
also
Yeah.
tailor it as well too for you too. Like there's some aspects of what you're doing that are a little bit more manual, like for example, to add in like little icons like this and add some additional property highlights. Totally no problem. We can do stuff like that. So bottom line is that we'll create something that's easy for you to then just be able to go through a couple clicks and produce the design. Just to share that with you guys, like I think she might have some listings we can test it with, which is perfect. So if I clicked on that little feature sheet right over here, let's just imagine this is the one that we picked. You'll notice that the next thing is I get the listing. And after I click on the listing, automatically it turns it directly into the actual design. So you notice that the photo comes in, price comes in, beds, baths, area, square footage, her information at the bottom, and it's like a two-page sheet with all the other photos as well too. And if she wants to change out this photo for a different one, she can easily click on her listing photos without having to play the game of dragging and dropping and kind of substitute and move things around quite easily. So that's what we're going to do, Julie, next time. By
Okay.
next time, I should say, is we're going to brand these to you in a way where I'll take some aspects of what I like about this, but I'm going to kind of make them even better. Use your new kind of branding color palette, use your kind of new logo and everything. And that way you have social media designs and brochures to work with as well, too. Okay. Makes
Love
sense?
it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I got my work cut out for me with Julie, which I'm very excited about. And hopefully you guys learned something here today. I try to kind of bring in something different every single time, even though we're kind of going through somewhat of a similar kind of format of like talking to an agent and talk about what they may need help with or what they need to work on. But hopefully you took something away, whether it was like, using that banner strategically with slogans and call to actions, adding in different buttons, whether it was the biography, taking time to bold some things on your bio to make certain text kind of pop or stand out, whether it was your testimonials and really making some of these more of like call outs and highlights as opposed to having people consume the entire testimonial. Take something that you've seen here today and run with it and apply it, because it'll just help you make your site a lot better and really start kind of performing for you the way that you want. So Julie, why don't you wrap it up with a quick little closing thought? And what I'll do is I'll get in touch with you a little bit after here and talk about some of our next steps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sanjeev. So I'm just shocked just looking at my website right now. Those few changes you made, what a big difference it is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the end result and working with you to just make it a lot more user friendly and more customized to myself. So thanks
Love
again.
that. Yeah, you're very welcome. And thanks again for being such a loyal customer for my real page as well, too. We really appreciate you as well, too. So, guys, thanks for tuning in to Brown Like a Boss. Until next week, Tuesday, we look forward to bringing you back Julie's website. Nice, freshly updated, and looking fantastic. So, have a great week, you guys, and we'll chat with you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye now.